heck is going on here? Oh, I didn't know if it was on, guys. Welcome to Monkey's World. Okay, this is Dark Side of the Ring, Marcus Alexander Bagwell. He's actually pretty good. I found him to be very straightforward and honest about his situation, and let me sit back a little bit, guys. Just so I can support my back a little bit here. And I'll pull you forward. There we go. And I found the show to be, as usual for Dark Side of the Ring, very well done. It talked about his addiction. It talked about his accidents. It talked about the fact that he married his high school sweetheart to start with, and he wasn't faithful when he started wrestling. And he started wrestling because his parents' business went under. His parents were multimillionaires. Excuse me, and their business went under for some reason. He'd always been a natural athlete, so he started wrestling. And he was working somewhere, something, and oh no, he was living in an apartment building, and Missy Hyatt became his neighbor. And he talked to her, and my brother was thinking about getting into wrestling, and she said, your brother? You're the one that should be wrestling. And it just sort of went from there. So he started wrestling on the independents, and Missy got him brought into WCW, I guess, and the rest is history, as far as wrestling goes. When WCW closed, he was signed to WWE, but his addictions and everything else was so bad that it just didn't work out. And he was still trying to make money for his family and stuff. He was on his third marriage. And he joined a show called Gigolos. He thought he was supposed to go there and mentor these guys in some way or something. And he ended up with a woman. And he told his wife, he said it was more like softcore porn. This is a show on Showtime. And he said to the producers, I couldn't have sex with her. And he said on this show, he said there was no blood to his penis. He said, nothing. And so the guy said, you weren't supposed to anyway. Oh, really? Well, you could have told me that, And because these guys were gigolos, that's what they did. And he did eventually actually become a gigolo, which is kind of funny. He made a couple of movies while in WCW that didn't go anywhere. A couple of them were on TNT. One was straight to video. I believe he made a porn. I remember hearing it at the time. So, So yeah, it was interesting. he Dallas Page was not on it. I kind of expected that he would be because he's the one that's helped him get and remain sober. So, but after Dallas Page helped him, he talked to Scotty Riggs because Scotty Riggs was supposed to be on Dark Side of the Ring, which he was. And Scotty was in a terrible place. He had lost his home. He was living in his car. He was ready to end his own life. And he told Mark, he said, I'm comfortable with that. I'm done. And he said, get down here. Work with Paige and I. So he did. And he's doing much better. Um, so um, uh, I'm thankful for that, that he was able to help someone else along the way. Because it's sad. It's truly, truly sad when someone comes to a point like that in their lives. If you'll recall, Marcus's mother actually worked with him. And actually, he had hired his whole family and was paying them all to work for him. Because his whole thing was about taking care of his family, his parents, his brothers. That's why he started doing what he was doing. And so, he had two older brothers, has two older brothers. And so his mother worked with him. She was a tag team champion with him, which was hilarious and ridiculous. She managed him. She took care of him. And by the way, one of his best friends was Slick Johnson from DNA, the referee, whose name is also Mark. Because they sort of grew up together. It's amazing. My mother always said the people in Hollywood generally have connections to other people in Hollywood, and that's how they get there. And it's true in wrestling, too, People grew up with people went to school with people. when you think about it, Minnesota, for example, Robbinsdale, you had Rick Rude, Kurt Hennig, John Nord, Road Warrior Animal, Road Warrior Hawk, all went to the same high school and graduated within a year or two of each other. All of them. And then, of course, John Laurinaitis, Johnny Ace, Joe's brother, Animal's brother. So they all graduated within a year or two or so of each other. What is going on over there? Oh. Oh. That's my tripod. So they just all ended up, there was another one too that I missed. Scott Norton. And they all went to school together, graduated together. So anyway, Slick Johnson grew up with Marcus Bagwell. So it just sort of That's how it happens in business. Not always. I mean, AJ Styles didn't grow up with anybody. He just sort of got lucky in that there was a training place a half an hour from the house, and he just was good at it. Um, Christopher Daniels got signed up for training by his wife. Well, she was his girlfriend at the time, but and he just knew from the first bump that's what he was going to do. And sometimes it happens that way, but a lot of times it happens that your family is involved or that your friends are involved, and it just sort of leads somewhere, you know. Um, Mark was from Marietta, Georgia. Um, Funny, they used to say Sprayberry High School, which is actually where he went. Um, he was very honest about the fact that he cheated on his first wife. Um, and the funny thing is, I was going to tell you about that. If you recall, last time I told you a story about him. Well, I have the book that Gary Michael Capetto wrote, The Ring Announcer. Uh, and it's autographed, and I've actually talked to Gary. And nice man. We've emailed. And and I got the autographed book because I was listening to him do a radio show, and if you ordered it like during the show, they were doing a deal where you'd get the book autographed, and at that time the latest issue of Pro Wrestling Illustrated also autographed by him, which I have sealed in a bag. And so my father said, "Go ahead. I mean, you're gonna get the book anyway. Why not get it autographed?" And it was a good deal, so we did, and I still have it. That got me through a lot of my cancer stuff because I would sit and read that. Like when I had to sit there and let that sugar stuff go through me for my PET scan, I was sitting there with that book. And one of his stories was about Marcus Bagwell and how he brought his wife on the road, but they stayed at the same hotel where he had been sleeping with the local ring rats, as they called them. He said, "You probably shouldn't." He said, "You shouldn't be doing that anyway, but you really shouldn't be taking your wife to the hotel where you've been banging the local ring rats." Because he started calling the room and stuff, and she got this, went home, and that's when they split up. He didn't go into all that detail, but he admitted it, that he was not faithful to her. And so, yeah. It's unfortunate. It does happen. It happens a lot. In life and in wrestling, I mean, people, unfortunately, when you are away like that, it happens, unfortunately. Um, that's why it's so awesome when they can stay together for, decades. Guys like Terry Funk, who has, well, he just lost his wife, actually, and then he just passed away. I knew it wouldn't be long after his wife passed away because they were together for 50 years. Within a couple of years, he passed away. Kind of knew, like I said, that was going to happen. Dusty Rhodes was married the first time, and he had 2 kids. It didn't work out, And when he married Michelle, they were married till death did them part. A long, long time. And, there are examples of guys being married a long time. So it happens. It happens in life too, you know. So it, I'm trying to explain this. So you can have a successful marriage and a successful career. You know what I mean? Christopher Daniels has been married for 31 years in June. I mean, that's amazing. They've been together probably 33, 34 years. So, um, so it is possible. Depends on the person, the people, you know. Um, anyway, he was married 3 times and none of them worked out. He did say he wished he'd stayed with his third wife. Her name was Judy, just like his mom. Um, his dad is still alive. His mom, unfortunately, developed Alzheimer's disease and passed away. Um, so, which was tough on the entire family. You know, he told stories about his dad, um, and his dad completely admitted that it was true. I like the candidness. Like they were talking about, his dad was giving his mother a hard time when she wanted to leave. And he was trying to protect his mother, so he came down with his gun. And his father ran to the refrigerator where he kept the gun on top of the refrigerator and pointed it back at Mark. And Mark shot him in self-defense. And he put his arm up, and when he did, it went through his arm instead of his chest. And he admitted it was his fault. Him and his father have been best friends ever since. No issue because they talked it out. And his father said, you know what? You had every right to do what you did. I shouldn't have been so angry at your mom. If she wanted to leave, she should have been able to leave. They did end up staying together because there really wasn't any physical abuse. It was just, you're not leaving in my car sort of attitude. The typical attitude of a rich man, you know. It's all mine. Even though she built the business more or less for him. Like I said, typical attitude of a rich man. You're not leaving here in my car. Um, and but he loved her, and he was the only person that could get her to wake up at the end. Last time he couldn't get her to wake up. They would call him on the phone and put her, and it was sad. And another time, his father lost the poker game. He got up and he took his machine gun and went outside, and they had a pond with like geese in it, and he just started shooting. So Mark grabs his gun and runs downstairs because he can't imagine if somebody's shooting at his family or something, and he comes in, Dad, what the heck are you doing? And so it was interesting, to say the least. Um, so yeah. Like I said, I liked the candor. I liked the honesty. It's an A. You know, I just thought it was great. The only issue that I had was, no, they were like too cold Scorpio anyway, but I just thought his attitude, his language, you know, word bleep, word bleep, word bleep, it was just, he didn't even need to be there as far as I was concerned. It was awful. Um, that's just my opinion, you know. Uh, when you inappropriately talk about the size of another man's genitalia, and then you go on to say a word or two bleep, a word or two bleep, a word or two bleep, you don't belong there. I'm sorry. It's horrible. You did no favors for yourself. None whatsoever. You made yourself look like a complete and utter asshat. So, let me know what you thought if you watched it. Thank you so much for joining me. God bless you and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much. Please subscribe to both channels. We're trying to get to 500 on Kid Missing and 200 on this channel by Memorial Day. Bye, guys. Mwah.